Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another Good Morning Grief devotion. It's your boy, Pastor Corey Allen Duncan Sr. So happy and excited to come to you today to lead you in a very special way. Today's Good Morning Grief devotion. This is the daily grief devotion that is strategically designed to help you to navigate through your grief one day at a time. What is grief? I'm so glad you asked. Grief, my brothers and sisters, it is the natural, normal, and necessary response to loss, change, and transition that results in the expressions of feelings and emotions. That grief is what you feel on the inside. Mourning is how you reveal it on the outside. Therefore, we don't suppress it, but we express it. We don't ignore it, but we explore it. We don't conceal it, but we reveal it. We don't lock it up, but we let it out. And that's why we shout good morning, because mourning is a good thing. And I thank you for joining us on today as we dare to prepare to lead you in a very special way. And today's Good Morning Grief devotion today, my brothers and sisters, is day 266. I'm so glad y'all in the mix. We're going to talk about I'm grieving my future. I'm grieving my future. Let's talk about it, y'all. The reality is I miss the person who died. I do, I do, I do. I'm grieving the loss of their physical presence in my life right now, right here and right now. But I'm also grieving the future I imagine and hope for. Yeah, these are a lot of times when you start talking about grief, we grieve the person who died, right? We grieve the person who died. We grieve them. Their presence is not here. We can also grieve what we had in mind, right? Grief deals with loss, change, and transition. And if you had in mind a couple of forevers, if you had in mind a lifetime with this individual, if you had in mind growing up to see them become adults or graduate from high school or college or get married or walking them down the aisle, whatever you had in mind, that person dies, right? Now, not only am I grieving them, but I'm also grieving the future that we never had, grieving the future that never was. I'm grieving the time that I didn't get, right? I'm grieving the fact that some people, watch this, they don't have the opportunity to be grandparents because their child or their only child was taken. That some people didn't have the opportunity to grow old with their love. And you knew them in their 20s and 30s, but you'll never know 40s and 50s and 60s. Y'all was supposed to grow old together and sit on the porch and drink lemonade and travel, right? That a lot of times we grieve the opportunity to have extended time with the individuals. We grieve the future. There's some children that are saying, my parents will never see me graduate because they're died. Or watch this. Maybe they're not dead, maybe they're locked up. Maybe they're doing life, maybe they're doing time. You grieve the future you had in mind, because this is not what I had in mind. And I imagine a future with us together, but that's been snatched away. So a lot of times, not only do you grieve the person, but you also grieve the future. Grieving the future I had imagined and hoped for. The person who died was part of that future. I'm forced to give up certain assumptions and dreams. And y'all, this is one of the things that you got to navigate through. This is part of grief. It's not just grieving the person. I'm grieving the future. I'm grieving the time that I didn't get. I'm grieving the time we didn't have. And that's part of the process to talk about that, right? A lot of times we talk about the person, we talk about the situation, but you have to grieve what you had in mind. What did you have in mind? I'm literally asking you, it's rhetorical, but I am asking you, what did you have in mind? What did you envision, right? You got to go through the process of navigating through that. You got to go through the process of internalizing that. You got to go through the process of processing that so that you can think it through and that you can get out of you what you feel on the inside of you, right? That's what grief is. That's what mourning is, right? Release brings about relief, and you got to release everything you feel and think about the fact that you don't have a future with this individual. I'll be creating a different future, but it will take a while for me to settle into. In the meantime, I'm allowing myself to feel and live with and express the loss of the path I had intended to travel but cannot. Listen, I'll be creating a different future. It will take a while for me to settle into. You are creating a different future, and it may take a while for you to settle into. That's why this grieving process is not 2 weeks, it's not six weeks, it's not 6 months. It takes as long as it takes. There's so many different intricacies and nuances, so many different levels, so many different things that are attached to it. That this is not just something that you do in 6 weeks and I've grieved, I moved on. Nah, it don't work that way, right? So I'm creating. What does it say? I'm creating a different future, but it will take a while for me to settle into, and that's okay. Take your time. Here it is. In the meantime, I'm allowing myself to feel and live with and express the loss of the path I had intended to travel, but cannot. In the meantime, allow yourself to feel and live with and express the loss of the path you intended to travel, but you cannot. It's so important for you to do that, right? And this goes, man, there's so many layers to this because it's so true. So many of us, we grieve what we had in mind, whether it was a future in a certain industry, a future in a certain organization, a future with a certain person, whatever it is, the life that we're living. You look back on something you wrote when you was a teenager, you look at your past or your fantasy, now you look at your reality, you was like, this is not what I had in mind, right? So you got to process that and you got to grieve it, and it's okay, right? It's okay. Here's the final thought, y'all. As much as possible, I live for today. Try not to set too many expectations for the future. As much as possible, I'm going to live today and not try to set too many expectations of the future. Today, my brothers and sisters, is day 266. I'm so glad y'all in the mix. I'm grieving my future. I'm grieving my future. If y'all got questions, y'all can drop them. We really don't take questions on Sunday because we're headed to the house of God. But just in case, I do want to encourage you to join us today, 10 a.m., City of Hope Community Church. If you can't join us in person, join us virtually for worship on this morning. I'm looking forward to our time together. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all with the love of the Lord. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all with the love of the Lord. Like you always say, grief is not linear. It is not linear. Good morning, Brother Manson. It's not linear. Exactly. It's all over the place. There's no straight line, right? So we got to process that. I really want y'all to ask yourself, what did you have in mind as it related to your future? Right? Write all that stuff down and process it. Talk about it. Navigate through it. Go through it. Deal with it, right? Because release brings about relief. Release is going to bring about that relief. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all with the love of the Lord. No more questions. I look forward to seeing y'all. Hopefully today, 10 a.m. Come rock with us one time for the one time. I'll see you soon. Love y'all. Have a good one. Let's go.